So what happens when you mix The Mandalorian, a global pandemic that leads to a fungi infestation, and the bravest member of the Game of Thrones series? You get my spoiler-free review of The Last of Us. What is going on, everybody? My name is Pat. I am the voice behind the recaps, and I was lucky enough to see The Last of Us, the complete series, early from HBO. For fans of the video game, we have been waiting 9 long years for this series to actually come to life, and HBO decided to tackle it. And normally when HBO decides to tackle something, they don't miss. Case in point, Game of Thrones. Now, I did play the video game, but for those that didn't, and you're just wondering what this is about, let me go into a quick detailed description about what The Last of Us entails. So basically, in 2003, a global pandemic hits, but it's not like the virus that we dealt with. No, this is an infestation of fungi that goes into the brain and basically creates zombies. Series then picks up in present day, and the main character Joel is living in Boston, where he's tasked by a rebel group to transport a girl across the country. Of course, when you've got an infestation and you've got quarantine zones and then you've got this huge country, you can't quarantine everybody. So there's things on the outside of those quarantine zones people don't really want to see. They don't want to get into. There's dangerous stuff. It's not just the infestation, but it's raiders, it's slavers, it's you name it, it's out there still. So it's a very dangerous mission, and it's the connection that this guy, Joel, makes with this character, Ellie. The casting for this show was interesting because you had Pedro Pascal, who really burst onto the scene with The Mandalorian for a lot of people, and then you had Bella Ramsey, who really burst on the scene with Game of Thrones. So HBO is very, very used to what she does, and HBO does this a lot, where if you're in with HBO, you're in with them for life because you just kind of can get a job whenever. There's no better example of that than The Wire, where they just regurgitate those same actors over and over. But Bella Ramsey, it was a real fan favorite with the show Game of Thrones, and I think it'll just continue with her adaptation of The Last of Us. But look, you guys came here for one reason. You want to know if HBO and the creators of this show did this video game justice. The quick answer is, yep, it's incredible. It is so well done. And it might be recency bias because I finished this show less than 24 hours ago. But it is the best adaptation of a video game turned into a movie or series of all time. I can't think of a better one. And if you can, do me a favor, just write it in the comments section of the really, really good ones. But this is a tough thing to do. To transfer a video game to the screen, whether it be the big screen or the small screen, we've seen it time and time again where companies just miss. They miss the mark. They fail. You know, we've seen Tomb Raider. We've seen Uncharted. And they're fine. They're good. They're okay. But what they did with The Last of Us was on a complete other level. Now, to take you a little bit behind the scenes, I am just a guy that plays video games, and I usually play sports video games. I usually don't play a game like The Last of Us. But 9 years ago, when I saw the trailer for The Last of Us, I was like, I got to check that game out. I haven't played it since. So it's been 9 years since I have touched this video game. I've touched the second one, and I remember bits and pieces of the first one. But what this show did was, for a guy like me, who hadn't played the video game, hadn't touched it in 9 years, it was a refresher. But there's so much in the show that I completely forgot about, that friends had to really point to and go, oh yeah, no, what did they do with this character? Well, what about this? And I thought that the series creators took artistic liberties and added some of these characters in. But no, it wasn't the case. After I finished the series, I went back and I looked at the plot line on Wikipedia, and basically what HBO did was they took the first video game and they made that the series. But what also they did, and what they did so damn well with this adaptation, was they expanded on it. And the best example I can give you is really they took The Last of Us and they kind of put it in HD. Meaning, like, they showed you everything behind the scenes. So they show you the pandemic. They show you day one. They show you Ellie's bite. I mean, they really get into the nitty gritty. And it wasn't as simple as, okay, guys, we have this video game and it's great. We already have the script and we don't really need to do anything and we can just mail it in. They didn't do that. And they really, really made it something special. For me personally, the first episode, that was really familiar to me. That was something that really stood out. So for that, I go, okay, I know where this is going. Second episode, same thing. I was like, for a guy that didn't play the video game in 9 years, I still knew where it was going. The third episode for me is where it really, really, really picked up. And it's a beautiful episode, stars Nick Offerman, and it goes into one of the characters, one of the side characters that the video game kind of just touched on for a few seconds, but they made a whole episode about this guy, and they went into his backstory and how he became the way he did, and it's really, really interesting, and I loved it, and it was beautiful. And then from there, from the third episode on, it was great. Now, I have seen some things online, negative backlash towards the casting of Pedro Pascal because he can't grow a beard. Look, not everybody can grow this manliness that you see on this face that's built for radio, okay? But he's so well cast. And it's not just him. It's the entire series. Whoever the casting director is for HBO's The Last of Us did a tremendous job because it really highlights Pedro and his ability to act, but also Bella Ramsey was really, I think, the perfect Ellie. You know, I was under the previous idea or notion that what they should have done was they should have just hired the guys that did the voice acting and at least given them a shot. And look, maybe they did, but with Ellie, when they first cast Bella Ramsey, I went, okay, interesting. I might have just went with the girl that voiced it for the video game. I thought she was really good. Bella Ramsey makes this her own, that by second episode, you're like, yeah, that's Ellie. Like, she nailed it. And she's such a good actor, and I can't wait to see her blow up because this will be the big thing that really propels her to stardom, I believe. You know, I mean, when she's 10 years old and she's the brave character in Game of Thrones, it's one thing. Like this, you really, really see her acting chops because in Game of Thrones, she was a big character. But most importantly, the chemistry that she has in this show with Pedro Pascal is tremendous. They play off each other so well. And Pedro really, really made Joel out to be his own. And I loved what he did with the character. I also loved what Bella Ramsey did with the character as well. I thought they sucked the landing too. And I would be blown away if we don't get a season 2. After all, there is a second video game, so while they're, have time to decide and they can do season 2, I guess they can possibly work on a season 3, but there's so much of this world to explore. I also like zombie things. I watched The Walking Dead. But the problem for me with The Walking Dead was, in my opinion, which no one really agrees with, so smash that thumbs down button for this, but my opinion, I tell people just watch the first season and act like they all died, because after that it got ridiculous. This is really, really well done if you are a zombie fan, if you are an apocalyptic show fan. This crushes it. So there's so much positive to talk about. I know it's already 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It deserves it. I think it'll stick with that. It'll at least be close to it. I mean, there's always some D-bag who's like, no, I don't like this or that. But for the most part, it won't reach below, I think, 95%. It nails it. It crushes it. If you're a fan of the video game and you're like me who hasn't played the video game in 9 years, there's going to be familiarity, but there's also going to be a ton of stuff that you just forgot, and that for a guy like me who's a little bit, I guess, absent-minded, I thought the creators should add it in. If you played the video game, I don't know, a month ago, a day ago, a week ago, whatever, you're going to love it because it's all familiar, but they crush it, and they expand on it, and they go into more vivid detail with it. And if you're a fan of zombies, then you're going to watch it no matter what. You're going to love it as well. So check out The Last of Us when HBO drops it on Sundays. Now is the part of the video where I ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Smash that thumbs down button if you like this. Smash that thumbs smash the thumbs up button if you like this. Smash the thumbs down button if you thought this sucked. I would smash the thumbs down button after I just screwed that up. Yeah, that's all I got.